Now we've seen this case starting. I remember that after all the trials and tribulations, having been sent to the DSS facility, you were released, I think, on December 24, 2019. Yeah, I remember that day. I mean, I was just rushing somewhere, and I was just told to come to the DSS facility that you were going to be released. And we came there, and we're shocked, actually, that you would be released, because we heard it was all treasonable charges slammed against you. How did you take all these charges? Because, I mean, the treasonable charge or offense is one of the highest offenses in the land.
Well, I was released twice, if you remember.
Yeah.
And the first time I was released, the next day we were in court, I was abducted in front of a judge. And then, so my release wasn't done out of generosity. It was the judgment of the court that was being implemented after a lot of pressure, especially after that egregious attack on me inside the courtroom, which you have seen. I knew from the beginning that this wasn't going anywhere. As a matter of fact, I'd warned them before we even did the protest that this case can never be prosecuted. And I have a video to show for it. I know that my role was historical, and judges have never succeeded in trying history. Otherwise, they will become a footage of history too. So it's happened before, but it's important to understand that the mentality of our government is to first and foremost suppress whatever is the truth and things that they are not comfortable with. And the particular government of former President Buhari was notorious for this. He ruined a lot of lives, destroyed the economy, and did everything to ensure that this country did not survive him. But some of us did not survive him as well. And I happen to have survived him. Not only did they do this, they shot at me at close range with a federal riot gun at once. If you see the scar on my face was broken midnight of a Passover night in 2021 by the police in Abuja here. I was attacked several times by state-sponsored thugs. So many things happened. My brother was shot dead on a highway between Ore and Ondo State. My mom fell ill. She had stroke, and last 4 years has deteriorated. My kids grew up without me. And my wife I haven't seen in close to 5 years, since July of 2019. But I weathered the storm because I knew that if you go in the direction that I chose in life, this is going to happen to you. And this is not the first time. It happened to me at the university. I ended up spending 6 years instead of 4 years at the University of Lagos.
Yeah, as a student,
so nothing new here. And this arrest and several other ones, several of many, and several attempts on my life had been made. And I do not think it will stop for as long as I do what my conscience tells me is right.
All right. And you yourself would have known that you get into trouble after having chosen that hashtag RevolutionNow. What exactly was on your mind when you decided to use the hashtag to protest on August 5th, 2019?
I actually was calling for a revolution, and I never denied it.
What form of revolution?
Oh, there's only one form of revolution. A change that has never been seen before in the life of any country. That's what I was calling for. And I told the DSS guys the same thing when I was interrogated. It's on record. I told the judge when I came to court. Context of revolution until that, and 5 million people searched for the word revolution on Google on August 5, 2019. But I had been arrested before the protest, and I was surprised that the protest still went ahead across the country. And the interesting thing now is that it's no longer a crime to say the word revolution. Everybody's calling for a revolution now. And it might even happen with or without me. We're moving in that direction.
So you were way ahead of your time.
That's always been my crime.
Well, Sowore, we saw state institutions being used, and some would even describe the tactics being used then as Gestapo tactics. Because I remember one of the days you were being brought to court. I mean, the entire roads within the central business districts were shut and all of that. How did it make you feel when you were being brought into the court premises with such, I've never seen such kind of security in a very long period of time.
Well, I wasn't surprised. The first time they brought me into court, I didn't know the court was 5 minutes away. They drove me around Abuja just to make it feel like we're going to a far distance. Because I had not stayed in Abuja before then. But it should also interest you that I was abducted at midnight in Lagos and flown to Abuja on a NAF, that's the Nigerian Air Force jet that I believe has crashed now. You know how surreal that could be. And when we were flying on that jet, I don't like flying, but on that occasion, I just felt like the thing was flailing, It was supposed to have 2 pilots, it had only 1. Maybe the second one had not woken up by the time they wanted to bring me to Abuja. But these are experiences that I had during this period that is amazing. And, it's not time to tell the story because the battle is not over yet.
Well, you seem like an enemy of the state then.
Well, the state is an enemy of the people. Yes.
Well, the federal government says it is withdrawing this charge now. We've seen the judge even complaining that, look, the federal government wasn't going forthright with this prosecution. There were lots of delays here and there. Could it be that it was actually meant to teach you a lesson how to respect leaders in authority? Because you seemed, quote, as a young man who was trying to challenge President Buhari, who has seen it all and fought for Nigeria's unity. And he was this all-powerful leader who was enjoying his presidency for the second term. And you were trying to cause a revolution to actually bring his government down.
If anybody learned a lesson, it will be Buhari today. And I'll tell you, I don't want to make it sound like I'm mocking people. His chief of staff was directly on the phone with the DSS when I was being abducted from the courtroom. That's later Bakari. There was a delegation led to me when I was in detention, asking me to apologize to Buhari, and I refused. He met Femi Falana. And he said,
I think that was a delegation of media stakeholders by Garba.
It was led by Issa Funtua.
Yeah.
And I remember Issa Funtua, now late, saying to me, you cannot defeat the government. And I told him, government have been defeated times and times again. You understand? And he said, well, we're going to leave you here. That was 2 weeks after I was detained, and they actually left me there. But somehow, that idea was also defeated with him by death. Like I said, I'm not mocking him. All of them, I see them now, they're gentle. You meet people in government who were untouchable. I saw Femi Adesina one day in Lagos, and I reminded him, the Yoruba dish, that when the masquerade festival is over, the chaperone and the masquerade will go back to where they buy akara from, the bean cake. And he was shocked. I saw Garba one day dragging this in Abuja here, buying things for himself. That's nature of power. It's very transient. It's ephemeral.
Yeah, but these were people from your media constituency who felt so much for you and just wanted to get you out of that dungeon, if I may call it.
If you felt so much for me, you cannot ask me to apologize to a dictator. You don't do that. That's not what the media should do. I think they were trying to force my hands in a disgraceful way. Some of them might have meant well. I don't have any doubts about it. I have respect for the Vanguard owner. But when I was getting too troublesome for Nduka Obiagwe, the owner of the station, he called me into an anteroom. He said, Sowore, let's resolve. I said, no. First, you can't have a conversation without my lawyer present. And he went to Lagos, met Femi Falana. I told them the same thing. He said, Sowore is not good. He would rather die in detention than apologize to you. They came back, took away my rights. They didn't let me make telephone calls to my wife anymore, which I used to do. And then one day, we're passing by in our area of detention, and we found that Boko Haram people have a full bouquet of cable, DSTV. So we smuggled those out. The Boko Haram directors are enjoying here. And it was reported, and then they rushed and gave us TV and cable as well. So, yeah. But it was very sad that we have a security agency of that nature violating the rights of people and getting away with it. That has to be addressed. And that is what I was doing. In fact, what they told me most in the DSS is that I said that the revolution will affect the DSS, that the people will take over the DSS. And it came to pass. While I was there, for the first time in the history of this country, protesters invaded their office in search of me. And they said it's never happened before. So they should know it. Like I said, you're seeing it happen. You're seeing women organizing in Niger. Today there was a protest against hunger, what I call the hunger revolt in Ota, Ogun State. You know what finally triggers revolutions? Hunger.
All right, as we try to round off this conversation, are you demanding any apology from the Nigerian state for all you went through?
They should have come forward with an apology first. You know, not that I'm demanding it, I deserve an apology. And but what I would do is that I'm not only interested in an apology, I will extract compensation from them in jurisdictions that they have no power to affect decisions like this. But let me use this opportunity to thank my lawyers. You know, Femi Falan, amazing, his wife. There's a young guy, Mr. Marshall, Ebu Adegburu. I can't mention all their names, Stanley Maro, you know. And also tell those judges who partook in this, that's a shame. Especially Justice Taiwo, who threw me in jail for 45 days on a lie that I went to collect $100 million from Dubai to overthrow the government. And when he found out I'd never been to Dubai before, he ran away and I retired after that. It's a shame that we have that. So many people will say, well, he's doing his job as a judge. No, but the judge who did the same thing to Mandela became part of the history of the entire apartheid struggle. And this time, and the judges who we appealed to, my son was dying at the time, and we appealed to the judges. You're giving passport back to all the corrupt people. Give me back my passport to go visit my child who is sick and come back. He said, no, that I'll run away. How do you run away from your country? I've never applied for the citizenship of another country.
I mean, you were
the guys who were robbing the central bank. They were detained for 2 days, giving their passport. The guy who stole 109 billion naira from the accountant general's office got a shift and title. They kept me detained in Abuja for 3 years. I couldn't leave Abuja.
Yeah, I mean,
never happened in the history of Nigeria.
Just within Abuja here.
Restricted to Nigeria, except Obafemi Awolowo was restricted to Lekki, and Pai Modu, former Labour leader, who was restricted to, I think, Auchi during his time under colonial rule. I'm the third person in the history of Nigeria. And then they eventually restricted me to the prison called Nigeria for the last 5 years. Unbelievable. Well, but this is nothing to cry about.
There are other political leaders who face same during the military.
Worse than I have. And what about those who have been killed? You know, Shiites, members of IPOB. And let me use this opportunity to also ask for the release of Nnamdi Kanu. Yes.
Well,
it is time that reason prevail, and you know, they will be shocked that this whole thing was unnecessary. If you are not going to continue with Buhari's policies of ruining the economy, destroying dollars, don't continue with his repressive policies. It's time to apologize to everybody that Buhari touched in the last 8 years, and to prosecute those officials he used for committing atrocities against Nigeria, including, and most importantly, the Attorney General under him, Abubakar Malami, and Buhari himself. You heard it from me.